Hello there. It is Wednesday, September 19th, 2015. Wednesday, comic book day, as usual. This week's reviews are going to be in three parts, in three kind of lopsided videos. First video, this one, is going to be a three-parter. Next one is all the DC books. That's going to be three comics. Next video is 6 DC comics, and then the third video is just 2 comics, but they're separated on categories. You'll find out later. But this video, first up, is Marvel, starting with Hawkeye number 5? Yeah, Hawkeye number 5. Reaching... It's weird, because this seems like it would be the end of the arc. Yeah, it's part 5 of 5, it says. But they still don't end it. I'm like talking about the ending first, but it ends just because it's a shocking ending. It is kind of I don't want to spoil the nature of it, but it's kind of a non-ending. It's a very open ending. So even though this is technically the end of the arc, it feels like we're gonna just continue this through line. We're going to kind of continue this arc after the soft reboot in, I think it's November when Hawkeye reboots and comes out with another number 1. And it seems like we're continuing this storyline, which is kind of neat, actually. But anyway, with this book, we do reach a kind of thematic conclusion, if not a narrative one. So throughout this series so far, you've had the present story mixing with Clint's flashbacks to his childhood. And in each issue, the flashback is kind of taken up more and more. Like it started, like if not more of the issue, then more thematic importance. And in this, it's the flashback overtakes the present in terms of just, I think, page count and importance. But it also, this book also does a cool thing where it tells the stories very much in parallel. So we start this book in flashback. Clint is talking about the one moment that made him who he is. And we see Clint sneaking into the swordsman's trailer in the circus and discovering all the terrible things that he does. Meanwhile, in the present, we have Clint and Kate in the aftermath of what happened last issue with the kids just kind of blowing up and going, as you can see what the kids did here. And Clint is kind of facing this moment where it's like, these kids, we can't handle this. If this is what they're going to do, then we can't handle it. We have to give them up to S.H.I.E.L.D. These are weapons. These kids are weapons. They are dangerous. And it's crazy. But eventually this happens. Kate still wants to keep the kids away from S.H.I.E.L.D. Clint, takes a punch, and then we have that parallel in the flashback with Barney punching Clint, because Clint is with Clint punching Barney, my bad. Wait, is it Clint punching Barney? Because it's Barney who incites the thing. So yeah, this is Clint punching Barney. Although I don't know why Barney has the blonde hair and Clint has the red hair. Anyway, yeah, but it's like a direct parallel. Just boom, boom, and this goes on like basically through the whole issue. And then you have this page, have Barney on the floor here wiping his nose, and that leads in directly on the next page, Clint in the same position wiping his nose. And this is done kind of throughout the issue with the thematic ties and just the parallel storytelling, as I said. And it's done really well, and at the conclusion, we have, like the big thematic conclusion of this piece, which is, well, I don't want to spoil it, it is the end, and then we get to the big ending thing that's leading into the rebooted continuity, I guess. And yeah, it's just a really good issue. I really enjoyed it. I really like how this story comes together. I like how they turn the flashbacks into... They gave them a real closure, even though it's clearly not the end of that story. They gave it a real closure that ties it in with the present story really well, thematically. So really can't complain, really enjoyed this story. I can't wait to see where it goes in the reboot, how they're continuing this in either next month or in 2 months. Because it's been a good run. Been a pretty good run so far. Next up is SpiderVerse. I don't know why I said that all weird. SpiderVerse issue 5, the end of the SpiderVerse arc, and we start with Peter Parker, powerless Peter Parker, facing Norman Osborn and the Sinister Six, while the rest of the Spider-Verse team deals with a Thor that's there to destroy this chair, which Osborn wants to use to get rid of Doom. And through this issue, we see all these characters come together, fight. And I, as I said before in this series, I really like how they handle the fight scenes, because each one is very different, and each one tells us a lot about just the characters and how they work together, and like how they're all different, like what their different styles are. In this issue, we have both in both teams. We have Peter and the Spiders here, each challenging an opponent they can't overpower. And seeing how they deal with that, how they deal with an opponent that they just cannot beat, how they outsmart that. And it also draws a nice parallel, at least with this fight over here, with the Sinister Six fight we got earlier in the story in issue 2-3, I think it might have been, or two or three. Because previously they couldn't coordinate, and in this one we see how they've grown as a team and how they do begin to coordinate. And the fight scenes really are well done in terms of combat storytelling, I guess. The art is still fantastic, of course, too. And each character has a pretty good moment, including Spider-Ham. He finally gets his kind of big badass moment in this book. To kind of summarize, this is a book where the Spider-Verse team and Peter Parker defeat... I don't think saying they defeat the villains is really a spoiler, but it is a story where they defeat Norman Osborn, the Sinister Six, and a Thor, all in one issue, and none of it feels rushed, none of it feels forced, none of it feels cheap. And that's pretty impressive. This is essentially three different villains, or team villains, whatever. 3 different threats, all of them big, all of them conquered, none of it feeling cheap. Which, yeah, that's an accomplishment. That is good storytelling if you can pull that off. In this book, it does. I don't know if I'll be continuing Spider-Verse after the reboot. Spider-Verse is getting its own ongoing after Secret Wars. I don't know if I'll be following the story there, but as just kind of a single thing, as kind of not a one-off, but as a single self-contained story within this Secret Wars world, I think it did a really good job. Really good example of visual comic book storytelling. So it's nothing spectacular. It's not life-changing or anything. It's not one of the best books I've ever read, but it's technically extremely competent, extremely well done, and I really enjoyed it. And the last book for this video, not a Marvel book, but it is Will Eisner's The Spirit. Not written by Will Eisner, written by Matt Wagner, or Wagner. Wagner? I don't know. Anyway, issue 3 of this, and this is a fun issue. I'm really liking this series because it's really lighthearted at moments. Like, the covers are really pulpy and kind of dark, which isn't, I think, a good reflection of the book, because the book, it's pulpy, but it's pulpy and like very comic-y, very fun. You have like many of the characters in this book are named after just literacy puns. So you have the detective Strunk and White. In this book, we're introduced to the character Sand Seraph, who is a character from the original Spirit books, but Sans Serif, a reference to sans serif, which are fonts without the little kind of extra bits on the letters. So the old Google font was a serifed font. It had those kind of things sticking out of all the letters. But the new Google font is sans serif. It's all very clean. And so the character's name is sans serif because it goes with Strunk and White because they're both kind of writing things. And I really enjoy that because I'm a literacy nerd. But we begin this issue with Kabe, the Baiju. Not sure how to pronounce it, but he's a fisherman in this Pacific Islander village. It's post-World War II, and we start with him, and it's a bit of a non sequitur until at the end of the first third of this book, we see him get into hunting a shark. It's actually a really good little kind of non sequitur. In these few pages, you get to really feel for Kabe. You get a bit of his character. You get his conflict. Of course, it's interrupted by the main Spirit story when, after catching the shark, he also fishes out Danny Colt, that's his name, from the middle of the ocean. Then we have the title, beginning of second act, the big title, Spirit, as Detective Strunk and White go to interrogate Sans Serif to see what she might know about where the Spirit has gone. And then we get a flashback to the last time Serif saw the Spirit, which again, it's weird because there's like 3 different stories being told in this book. Each of them really, kind of short, very self-contained, but all very good and satisfying. So even in this small flashback, we get kind of a neat self-contained Spirit story going on, and it's just really well done. You get a feel for who Sans Serif is, her relationship to the Spirit. We see the Spirit foil a whole plot here, and it's just a great way to introduce us to these characters without feeling like an exposition dump, which is, again, just really good storytelling. The art, too, is really pulpy and just kind of comic booky, which I really enjoy, bright popping colors. And at the end, we get a great little tag, a great little teaser for what's going on, for what's coming forward. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying the Spirit. If you're looking for kind of a classic pulp feeling comic book, the sort of golden age, sort of stuff, the Spirit's a great example. Just a really fun read all over. It's just fun. All the characters have silly names and just bright colors. I wish, and like the covers are cool. It's a striking, cool cover, but it's not this, which is so much more fun, I think. But still, just really fun book. Really enjoying it. And that is it for this part of this week's comic reviews. Next video is going to be the DC books. I got 6 of them this week. Haven't read them yet. Hopefully they're good. I expect a few of them to be, at least. So if you're interested in those, that'll be in the next part of this week's stuff. And then the final part, 2 books at the very end by the same author, which is why they're in their own little part. And I hope you watch those too. But before we get there, I want to thank you for watching this part of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a rating, thumbs up, whatever it is on YouTube. I don't know. Is it a star system again? I haven't been following. If you want to subscribe, please do. I always like seeing new subscribers. Makes me feel like, people are watching, that people care, and makes me feel validated. Validation is a good feeling to have. And any comments, questions, anything whatsoever, if you want to talk to me, please feel free to leave that below. and I will do my best to get to it and, have a conversation. If you have a question, I'll try and answer it. If you have a thought, I'll try to respond to it. And that is it, yeah, for this video. Again, thank you for watching, and hope you'll join me for some more comic book reviews.